And thanks again to everybody joining us on our YouTube channel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can get notified when we go live every Thursday. You can also check out the description link where it says KETIV Virtual Academy, and you can register to get emails sent to you about all of these sessions that are upcoming. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining today's KETIV Virtual Academy session. As everybody gets going, I'm going to talk a little bit about today's session. So today we have Volker Cocco joining us from Autodesk. He's a technical enablement specialist specializing in AutoCAD. So thank you so much, Volker, for coming straight from Autodesk. We're so lucky to have you here today. He's going to be covering what's new in AutoCAD 2025 and some of the nitty-gritty details and features that have come out. So thank you so much, Volker, for being here.
Thank you.
I wanted to highlight and shout out our KETIV learning program. This is a subscription-based learning platform from KETIV. This has both live and on-demand training for products in the Autodesk product design and manufacturing collection, so including AutoCAD. This program comes with your own KETIV advisor, personalized learning paths, and unique workshops. Every quarter, there's new content. You can learn more about the program and see all of the benefits on our website, or you can scan this code with your phone if you want to check it out on your phone. Let me drop the link in the chat here if anyone would like to learn more. At the end of the session, you will also see a link for a survey that will pop up on your screen in Zoom. If you could please fill that out, let us know how you liked the session. Let us know what other content you'd like to see covered. It helps us improve this program and make it better for all of you. And I have the chat open as well as the Q&A button. So leave any comments or questions you have throughout the session, and Volker will check those out throughout the session. So thank you again, Volker. I'm going to let him take it away. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for being here today and allowing me to show you some of the new features in AutoCAD and some of the things you need to know, or should be aware of, I should say. So first of all, let me talk a little bit about our safe harbor statement, which I do need to show. Any of the features I'm going to show in today's presentation, anything I may say that may lead to future events and development, basically, don't let these statements reflect your purchasing of the software, okay? Because things do change, and technology changes, and we always need to be aware of that. So if I say something that may be future forward facing, take it with a grain of salt, check out the software yourself before making any decisions about it. So a little bit about myself. So my name's Volker. I am with Autodesk, as was mentioned. I am a technical enablement specialist. I am based in Portland, Oregon, and I have been working with Autodesk for Autodesk now, going in my 13th year, and began working with AutoCAD back in 1991. So release 11 for all those who have any interest at all. But enough about myself. Let's take a look at the agenda here. This is going to be a fast presentation. I'm going to go over some demos of some of the new features. Not all of them. We just don't have time because of some of the details about those features I'll be bringing up. We're going to begin a little bit with talking about some of the changes that are not so apparent right off the bat, as far as any of the promotional material you may have seen. And then we'll take a look at some of performance, graphics, feature improvements, as well as, of course, the new features. There's also going to be a resource slide at the end of this, at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, which has links to all the topics that I am going to be covering. So that said, let's go ahead and take a look at some the changes to the application uh, as well. Okay. So first of all, AutoCAD 2025 was released on March 26th of this year, and a few days, well, not a few days, a couple of weeks later, we did release a incremental update. If you just recently downloaded AutoCAD 2025, that update would already be installed. If you have not installed this update, I would recommend it. These incremental updates, especially this one here, provides fixes for issues which were not discovered during our beta testing of the software. So, and that'll come into play here in a moment as well. First question we receive in technical support is, has the drawing file format changed? No, it has not. It's still the AutoCAD 2018 drawing format. So it is backward compatible with any of the drawings, of course, that were created using the 2018 format. One of the major changes, though, with this application is that it is now built on the .NET Framework 8. So there may be some API compatibility issues. And what that means is that if you have third-party applications, some of those may fail because they are not built on that same framework. So do contact the software developer for any of these third-party applications to get a updated version of that software, of that add-in. So as far as file format changes, like I said, it hasn't changed for the drawing format. We did have to make some changes to a couple of applications, those being the file format for the action macro tool and for data extraction. So both of these have been renamed. They are not file backward compatible. So your action macro files do need to be migrated using the action macro manager. When you migrate these, it'll leave the original action macro intact and just create a secondary file with a ACTMX extension, which again, you would not be able to use in a previous release of AutoCAD. The data extraction files, you can use these in your existing ones in AutoCAD 2025, but it will convert that to a DXEX format once you save the make any changes to your template and save it. It will leave the original one intact. And of course, data extraction is not available in AutoCAD LT, so that won't affect anyone there unless they're using the actual macros. This change wasn't necessary because of the .NET Framework changed to .NET Framework 8. There were security vulnerabilities that needed to be addressed, and in order to do that, we had to recompile those particular features. Another change that may catch you off guard, it's not dramatic or anything, but with AutoCAD 2024, we added an ability to remove orphaned solid history IDs using the purge command. The problem was that if a drawing had already been purged or did not have any purgeable entities in it, you would not be able to purge any existing solid history IDs. So that was a problem. So what we've done is we have enabled the purge all command whenever the orphaned data checkbox has been selected. So if you're seeing that button is still enabled and you're hitting purge and nothing's happening, it's because Well, one, there's nothing to purge, and two, the button is enabled because you have orphaned data selected. So just uncheck that and it would work as previously, where it's a disabled button. Okay, another change we've made, we introduced the Autodesk Assistant a while back in 2024.1, I believe it was. Yes, it was. And the assistant allowed you to put in a query to find help documents or be connected with an AutoCAD support specialist. We've now added generative AI to this assistant, which is very cool. It's also more focused or tailored for support and help content, as opposed to a lot of additional content from the forums and so forth. So any queries you make, it will take that query, find related content, and give you a almost natural language type of response. Uh, and depending on the query, if um, if it cannot find a relevant topic, you can then connect with an agent, or you can contact technical support using a web-based support case. So this is very cool functionality. It is yeah, a lot more helpful than it has been in the previous release of AutoCAD. All right, let's switch a little bit topics here and talk about some of the performance features in AutoCAD. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video, as I'll be going into demo mode as well shortly. One of the improvements we've made, and this is just fantastic as far as I'm concerned, average file open performance is now almost 50% better than AutoCAD 2024. To put this into perspective, I had a fairly good sized drawing, 16 megabytes, not gigantic by any means, but in AutoCAD 2024, that took about 15 seconds to open. In AutoCAD 2025 on the same system, it was just around 7 seconds that it took to open the same file. So really delightful, so to speak, improvement as far as file open performance goes. Yeah, and we do need to be productive. So opening those files up, we don't want to be sitting there waiting, right? Other improvements have been made to 2D graphics. So 2D navigation for zoom has been improved by about 50% and 10% on the pan. We've also improved text rendering. We've introduced a new text rendering font engine called GPU Text. It does require DX12 on your system in order to operate, but it provides a much better experience when working with true type text. We've also made some changes to 3D graphics as well. We now support 3D smoother graphics in large 3D drawings with our GSF engine, which now supports wireframe visual styles, as well as the shaded and shaded with edges visual styles. Those styles also now support XClip and point cloud clipping. So quite a bit of improvement there. You're going to see improved results when working with your point clouds, any complex meshes, as well as stability and visual fidelity and performance improvements. So performance has quite a bit of effort has been put into that. Let's talk a little bit about text rendering though. which, as I mentioned, has been improved. This is due to this new system variable we have, GPU text 2D. The default for this with the initial release of AutoCAD was a setting of 2. 0 will disable that and set the font rendering back to the original GDI font engine. This only affects true type fonts, so but you're going to see much nicer results on your screen. And of course, your GPU must support DX12. If it doesn't, then it's just going to revert back to the graphic device interface font engine that it has been in previous releases. Now, compared to GDI, you're going to see smoother text. The edges are not going to are going to appear much smoother. And one of the places where in AutoCAD 2024, for example, you would see really rough edges is if you had a font that was not equal to 1. So 0.08 being a good example of that. Selected text will also appear sharper, and it does have vertical font support as well for tree types, and the zoom function on lower end GPUs is faster as well. Now, with all the good, there is the bad at times. And so, as I mentioned, we'd released the AutoCAD 2025.0.1 update. This will actually revert GPU text 2D back to 0 or GDI mode. The reason being is that we've done this is there was some customer feedback about font issues with GPU text 2D enabled. This affected mainly custom fonts. So your typical system fonts really weren't affected. So most of you, if you've installed that update or have installed AutoCAD anytime after mid-April, you'll probably have GPU text 2D disabled or equaling 0. I would encourage you, if you're just using regular true type fonts, to maybe check out the font rendering engine. I think you'll be pleased with the results of it. But if you do experience issues, then revert it back to the system variable setting of 0. You can also switch the graphics performance dialog to intermediate mode as opposed to toggling off that system variable. One thing about the system variable, whether you're setting it to 0 or 3, you will need to restart AutoCAD for that to be to take effect. So one more thing about this is that once in a forthcoming update, we will be setting that back to enabling GPU text. That's the plan. I can't actually should say that I can't guarantee it's going to be enabled with the forthcoming update, but it will be in that update. We will be resolving this issue with the text rendering. Okay, so we've also made graphic configuration improvements, and I'm going to actually switch over to AutoCAD and then talk about the slide on this here. Let's go ahead and go to the start page, and we've added this graphic configuration dialog up here. A couple of releases ago. I think it was the 2023.1. And basically, it just had a Learn Now button here, telling me that I'm not getting optimal performance in AutoCAD. Now we've introduced this Configure Now button, which will tell me what the problem is as far as the internal diagnosis goes. So in this case here, it's telling me that my hardware acceleration is disabled. And if I were to click on this hyperlink, it would show me possible solutions for that particular problem. So all I really need to do here for myself is switch on hardware acceleration. This tab diagnosis, this is new, graphics config, and it will also notify you if, let's say, your driver is outdated. Um, that could be a possible result of performance degradation. DirectX 12 may not be enabled, but you have that available on your system, as well as other issues. So there's self-help links for all of these, which will make it a lot easier for you to quickly resolve this particular issue with graphics, which really does cause performance issues. And most of these issues are relatively easy to fix. So instead of wasting time having to open up a support ticket on your end and waiting for a resolution, this should help beginners as well as advanced users in quickly diagnosing the problem. Right. Anyway, so having done that, let's go ahead and take a look at this here again. Again, these are the type of issues, and this is what I'm talking about with the one of the performance issues. Windows itself will, by default, decide what type of graphic cards to use on a system with dual graphic cards. So that's the default, is let Windows decide. And most of the problems are that it's not using the discrete card that is on the system. So just type of help. The help documentation shows the end user how to make that change and get optimal performance. Here's some examples of these dialogues, things that you may see. We've also improved the tuner log, which is this button here. It shows you details about your graphic cards. So it's better organized. It shows you more information, such as refresh rate and monitor scale, among other things. So for those system administrators, or for those who are um, um, uh, very savvy about their system, this will provide some great details. Okay, some of the feature improvements are uh, enhancements to existing AutoCAD commands. So one of those that we've made changes to are hatch improvements. And I think the only issue I have with this particular improvement, it's not very apparent to someone just going into the hatch command. But now if we go into hatch, which I just did, we can actually just, well, yeah, I've got a good hatch pattern picked there, I guess. We can actually freehand a hatch pattern, so we don't need that additional border anymore. And this is pretty slick functionality. And of course, if you were just to pick a spot and go, you'd find out that you can do this. But there's nothing on our ribbon here to indicate this functionality is here. But if we right mouse click, which I just did, you will see that we have options to create that in a rectangle, in a circle, or just freehand, as I did a moment ago. We also have this mode functionality here. And what that allows me to do is to specify either the area, which is the default, or going to the path. And with a path, I can choose what alignment I would like, as well as specify a width for that. So if I go into width, I can put in something like 6 foot. And I'm going to, whoops, get back into there and go into alignment mode. I could have done a right click there, and I can choose between center, inside, or outside. I've chosen outside here, and I'll do that as well. And we'll just go ahead and pick a point here, pick a point here, and tell AutoCAD I'm finished. And so I've created a 6-foot hatch pattern that is aligned on the outside of the line that of this object here. So this is pretty cool functionality, but again, it's not readily apparent unless you're really paying attention to the command prompt or your context menu on your cursor. So I think this is a real customer delighter, end user delighter. I would have loved to have had this when I was doing production drafting. So these hatch improvements, they have updated the command here, the hatch command itself, as I pointed out, and we have some new system variables: HP draw mode, HP path alignment, and HP path width that you can set as a as a default in your template. We've also made changes to the uh, to your mapping, importing of maps. So we were limited to the Bing maps. We now have incorporated ArcGIS base maps. The functionality really is no different than with the Bing maps in the geographic location tool. It just gives you a wider variety of choices to what type of map imagery or map you'd like to see in your drawings. So this should make some users happy as well. The default now is the Esri map, but of course you can change that either from the drop-down menu or from the command prompt. Activity Insights is quite a few changes here. I'm going to switch over to AutoCAD real quick here and show some of those improvements as well. So first of all, Activity Insights, if you've been using this, basically tracks events as to what you've done in your AutoCAD drawing. One of the cool improvements here is that I do not have to have a drawing open when I want to see what type of work events have been added to that drawing. All I have to do is select View Insights from the ellipse button on my recent or project screen, and it will show me the Activity Insights palette without having that drawing open. Other changes to this are that the DWG compare or history function, that is now gone. Okay, it has been incorporated into the Activity Insights panel. So let me actually get into, we'll get into that drawing, I guess. Let's open this up so we can see the, switch over to model. We'll go to Activity Insights. So instead of DWG history on the ribbon, we now have activity insights. And that's going to be the same way in AutoCAD LT. You're going to see activity insights. Activity insights are not supported in AutoCAD LT. So, but the same palette is used for your DWG history. With activity insights also, we can now see what traces, if you've been using the trace command at all, you can see what that traces have been added. Uh, so to this drawing, we have a trace, and if I click on the hyperlink, it actually shows me what that trace is, opens up the trace environment. Do that quickly here with, whoops, probably have to go to an older version. Let's go to compare. Yeah. So having selected this, it's going to go into the compare environment. Oh, well, no differences here, but you can see that it does go into that, show you what the differences are, if there were any in that particular version. I just selected the wrong one. What is nice here as well, I think it was on April 11th, I did a purge. And in the past, so the last release, when Activity Insights was introduced, um, it if you hovered over any of this, it would show you a little bubble uh, of what was information of when it was changed, what may have been modified. We've replaced that now with information in this properties panel. So if purging, for example, it will now show you what type of objects were purged, who purged the drawing, and when it was purged. So some nice information here. Again, if you've been using Activity Insights, it uh, uh, we've made some nice improvements, and it continues to be improved. More events are being added, more information about those events as well. We've also enhanced Activity Insights for Autodesk Docs. Now, the difference here is that with Autodesk Docs, it does require desktop connector 16.6.12145 or later. And of course, if you just, if you keep your desktop connector updated, if you're using desktop connector and docs, you should have the latest release anyway. But that is the minimum requirement for this to work. In addition to Autodesk Docs being supported with Activity Insights, Google Drive is also supported. And I keep saying Activity Insights, but this is for DWG history as well. So along with OneDrive, Box, and Dropbox, you now have the ability to, there's a lot more flexibility, I should say, in choosing the cloud provider that you prefer to use. One thing of note as well with that about Activity Insight, so for your drawings that are not stored in docs, you actually have to set a path for the log files or that the events are logged in. You need to specify that in the options support file search path, Activity Insights location, or using the system variable Activity Insights. With Autodesk Docs, you do not need to set that path. You can still set it for your other projects that are on your local drive, but Autodesk Docs will log those events independently of that particular setting. AutoCAD LT is going to log activities, but it's only going to show the DWG history on the Activity Insights panel. However, if you open up the same drawing in AutoCAD or one of the verticals, it's going to show what activities may have been logged in AutoCAD LT. AutoCAD Web is going to log and display activity as well if you use AutoCAD Web. The mobile app does the same thing, but it's not going to have a palette available for you to see that. One of the known issues to be aware of, which will also be fixed in a future update, is that if you have a trace in your drawing, that trace, well, anytime you save the drawing, it is going to show this trace deleted. The trace is not actually deleted. This is just for whatever reason I'm not aware of. It's just a message that appears. Your trace will be intact and still in the drawing. It's just something that happens on save, and some more of a visual thing in the palette. Just be aware of that in case you do see that if you're using traces in your AutoCAD drawings. So we've added a new system variable, and because there is a lot of concern with some entities, some organizations about not wanting to be able to use cloud technologies or the internet activity. So we can now enable the Activity Insights feature. You can enable the DWG history or the events or both. So you have 3 settings there, but you also have 0, which will disable the entire feature. So no command, no palette will be available if you set that to 0. So you have some good options there. Again, deprecated commands, DWG history and DWG history close. They are now incorporated into Activity Insights open and close, and the system variable DWG history state no longer exists. Activity Insight state would be used instead of that. So things to be aware of, especially if you're an admin. A very cool feature is syncing markups. Again, for Autodesk Docs users, this is a very cool feature, being able to synchronize your markups with from your PDF files in Docs. So I'm going to do a quick demo on that as well here. And what I'm going to do is actually go into my project, Autodesk Construction Cloud project, and take a look at one of my PDFs for one of my project drawings here. So make sure I get the right one. Yeah, this is the one I want right here. Sorry about that. I just created that this morning. So here I have a drawing, and obviously, and I need to add a markup for some fixes made that need to be made in AutoCAD. And I'm going to go ahead and first of all add a rev cloud here to just one of these chairs. Yeah, not well. It is, consider that a rev cloud, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and just leave that as is and add a call out here. Let's go and delete that one. Try this different. This is one of my ad lib moments, by the way. All right, so I'm going to add some text here. These need to be added as blocks. And probably should put in here chairs. They're actually all AutoCAD line work is all they are. Anyway, you may have noticed when I inserted this somewhat circular red cloud, I did not select publish. I am going to add publish here. And the reason I'm pointing this out is that that is the key to syncing markups with your AutoCAD drawing. If you do not publish the markup, it's not going to appear once this markup is brought into AutoCAD. Once I'm done with the markup, I'm going to go ahead and come here and click on Sync Markups to AutoCAD. And from here, I can then notify the members of my team. So it's, in this case, it's just myself and my clone, okay? And I'm going to send them a message saying, hey, chairs aren't blocks. Update, please. And probably could have been a lot more formal, but I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and click send. And now an email is going to be sent to all the members of the project. And that email, it does show up pretty quick. In fact, I've already received it. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. And there it is. And I get a message here saying, hey, chairs aren't blocks, please update. So it has a button here where I can import and connect to the AutoCAD drawing. And if I have AutoCAD open or closed, it doesn't matter. It's going to open up the drawing, even if that drawing hadn't been open yet. And in this case, it was. If I don't have AutoCAD installed, it'll prompt me to use AutoCAD Web. But I'm going to go ahead and import the markup. And as you'll see in a moment, the markups are that will appear in the drawing is it's just basically going to be the one markup, which is the call out itself, because it was published in the PDF. So again, it needs to be published in order to appear. Now, unlike markup import for other PDFs, markups in docs are a different type of element. They're handled by the construction cloud. So currently we cannot create assists to where we can convert this to a MLeader or to AutoCAD text, but it does allow us to quickly see what changes need to be made to the drawing. So, and anytime changes are made to the markup, so that PDF gets modified again with additional markups, team members are then notified that an update is available to the markup and they can bring that in again. So, yeah, so that is a cool bit of functionality in Autodesk Docs. There are some things you need to be aware of, again, because of time constraints. I'm going to switch over to the PowerPoint here and point out that there are some things you need to be aware of. So again, I mentioned the desktop connector. It only works with the construction cloud, so Docs or Build, not BIM 360. Drawings have to be saved to a ACC project. You do need to use the DWG to PDF PC3. So an Adobe printer driver will not work at this time. It's going to, it's something for future. And the enable sync PDF system variable needs to be enabled and set to 1, which is the default. If you don't wish to use this functionality, you can always set that to 0. And yeah, the rest we kind of demonstrated there in on the screen. Some things to be aware of. This is only available on AutoCAD 2025 on the Windows operating system. It will use, when using the email workflow, it's going to use the AC launcher, which will launch the last AutoCAD application. If you have multiple AutoCADs installed, it's going to launch the one you used last. So if you're using AutoCAD 2025 and you have 2024 installed as well, it's going to try and launch AutoCAD 2024, and you're going to get this error, invalid file name, or other side-by-side AutoCAD application. Just make sure AutoCAD 2025, one of the it has been last used. AutoCAD, Mac, and Web are not going to import or update ACC markups, but those users will be still be notified. Anyone receiving a notification must be a member of the project for that email notification to work. So has to be a member of that project. Only those markups applied to PDFs in the construction cloud are going to sync. So if you make markups to the AutoCAD drawing in the construction cloud, those markups do not sync. And again, markups are not saved in the PDF from the construction cloud. They're a different element that docks or build handles, and which is why this the assist will not work at this time. This is something that will, well, they're looking into addressing for future updates. All right, so not going to do demos on the last part here on a couple of these next features. Trace enhancements, we've improved the toolbar to make it easier to identify whether you're in a trace edit or drawing edit. A status on the status bar now, if you're in a trace environment where we'd normally say model or paper, that now shows trace, allows you to toggle. We can now use ref edit in a trace, even if you're in a viewport going in a viewport window. You can go through that window and use ref edit. This wasn't available in the past. And the settings palette that I moved earlier, it's now floatable. You can relocate it, and then you can pin it in place on the screen where you would like to see that available to you throughout the trace session. So not necessarily right underneath the trace toolbar. Markup import and markup assist. We've now added improvements to the revision cloud. You can now choose between a rectangular and polygonal rev cloud. So you're which looks a lot nicer both on screen and later on printed. We can combine multiple text assist. So if you have text that was separated in the markup, maybe one piece of text here, one piece of text in the middle, one on the left, one on the right. You can combine those now into one sentence, or even when they're separated just by a little bit, you can combine them into one. And you can now choose your default style for M-text and M-leaders using the style option, which is pretty much the style dialog and for text and M-leader that you have in AutoCAD. That same style dialog pops up from those buttons. So these are, for me, these are features that I personally have requested to be able to choose my text style. All right, got enough time for these next two features here. These are new features in AutoCAD. We introduced smart blocks in 2024. We now have two new functions in the smart block family, and those are the search and convert. Let's just take a look at that real quick. So search and convert, basically, I need to get into the right drawing here. There we go. Excuse me. I'm going into model here. Remember, I had that little markup about the chairs not being blocks, right? So I have all of these chairs that are just individual line work. And in the past, you'd have to, if you had something similar to this, you would have to, do everything manually and, create the chair, make a block out of it, and then plop them into place. Now I can use the bconvert command, which needs to be typed in at the command prompt. Whoops, I actually had selected that when I didn't want to. I'm going to go ahead and select all of it, and now going to bconvert. And it selects all instances that are similar. And all of these chairs are just line work. They're not blocks. So it shows me down here that it's found 66 similar instances. And I've just got to bring my dialog box up here. And once I hit enter, I can review those instances, which I could have done just zooming out. But I can either convert those to an existing block, and if so, it'll show me the blocks in the drawing that already exist, or I can create a new block. So if I select new block, I'm going to go ahead and just call it chair, and we'll just give it a, whoops, need to learn to type. Okay, I'm not going to fix that. We'll call it chair A. Turn off my cap locks here in a moment. And I can be very specific about the base point or just use the geometry center. For now, I'll use geometry center and click on convert just to expedite things. So it has converted all of those shared objects, all those instances to blocks. So that will really, improve any need to do something similar to this. The next one we have is import detect. Now, this does have a command on the ribbon. Why bconvert doesn't, I don't know. But detect, this is a technical preview, which means it's a work in progress, basically. It's something that uses machine learning, AI generated machine learning to scan the drawing for any instances of blocks, of objects that may be blocked. So this drawing was imported, a PDF imported, and it's all line work. And using detect, it scans this drawing, and it does take a moment as it's trying to see what is all in this drawing. And once it is done, it is going to pop up another a change in this dialog. It's going to tell me how many objects it's found that could be converted to blocks. And I'll review those objects. And it shows me all these doors that have been added. Now, you'll see some of the door objects here that were doors weren't detected. And that's where up here, if you just click on this button, report error, it will prompt me with either that I've found incorrect objects, which may be the case, multiple object types. So maybe the door also has a doorknob on it and it's different, right? I can select that, or missing objects. Well, I have missing objects in this drawing, and it sends AutoCAD information about this drawing. As it is, these objects are, whoops, sorry about that. I hit detect again. And we're running out of time. So what happens after I've told it, hey, that's great, I want those to be blocks in this drawing, is that it allows me to then bring up this same dialog, which popped up on my other screen. And again, just like with the bconvert command, I can now convert those to a existing block or new block. Let's just call it door, because it is a door, and click on convert. So here it's found two more instances of other blocks. I'm not going to convert these just because we're running out of time. But again, this is another slick improvement. There are limitations here, though. I'm going to get out of this and we'll go over those briefly before we run out of time. So first of all, as far as the smart blocks are concerned, you do have some new commands, bconvert. You can also choose this from the command line. And you have some system variables that allow you to change the color. There was an issue if you don't have the 25.0.1 update installed. When AutoCAD LT 2025 was initially released, LT users were unable to use the convert command. So that's been addressed with the update, incremental update. So make sure that you get that installed if you're an LT user. Also be aware that the machine learning suggestions will not be displayed. It will make use of any library drawing you have attached to the drawing or blocks that already exist in the drawing. Yeah, so that's it on that. Tech preview again. So again, it does search the drawing for objects to be learned, to be converted. It uses machine learning service for that recognition. That technology is limited, and this is important. This works best with architectural drawings, and it's only a limited number of different types of blocks that it will be able to detect, but it gets better with the machine learning. And this is also why it's a tech preview, because it's new functionality using machine learning, recognizing the different types of blocks. There are countless doors out there, different types of doors, and as it learns, it gets better. We have several new commands listed here. Detect, close, and so forth. But it's important to note that while in that review mode, that these commands here do not work. Okay, they're going to be disabled. There are limitations. It's best to have the drawing units set to the real world units that you're using. Right now, drawings under 10 megabytes are best, just because of the amount of time it takes to scan a drawing. Again, only limited number of object types are detected at this time. And as you saw, it's not going to be 100% accurate. If you don't want this machine learning process or functionality available, you can turn this off for all your smart blocks in the CAD Manager control utility. Blocks data collection is a system variable for individual systems. but this disables it, creates a reg file that you can then disperse over the network. Be sure you have the current CAD Manager control utility installed to have all the available functionality at your disposal. All right, so this is the resource slide. You'll be able to find additional information, because we did run short on time here, about all of these features. Some of these include some very nice tutorials. That said, I did run short on time. There's a lot of stuff, as you can see, and I tried to throw some of those details out there that you normally don't, that aren't normally readily available. So I do hope this helped.
Thank you so much, Volker. If anybody has questions, they can drop them in the Q&A, or you can email us at support@ketiv.com, and we can get those sent over to Volker, or Quentin, who is also on the call, can answer them.
Right. So thank you again for sharing your hour with me. I know your time is valuable, and I certainly hope this recording or this presentation was of value to you as well. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Volker. And we will see everyone at next week's KETIV Virtual Academy session. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Take care, everyone.